My father looked across the dinner table at my husband and said it. "You're not real family. This is my house." The room went silent. My stepmother stared at her plate. My husband's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. I didn't say a word. Because in my bag on the chair behind me was a folder. Inside that folder was a document my father had never wanted me to see. He had no idea what was coming. What would you do if your own father tried to erase the person you love most? If he used a home as a weapon? I'm curious where you're watching from and what time it is there. Drop your country in the comments. And if you've ever been underestimated by your own family, hit that like button. You'll see why that matters in a second. Because to understand why that folder changed everything, you need to know how we got here. My mother died when I was 19, cancer, fast and brutal. 6 months from diagnosis to the end. The house, Victorian, 3 stories, wraparound porch, was her dream. She'd restored it herself. Stripped wallpaper, sanded floors, planted a garden that bloomed every spring. In the hospital 2 days before she passed, she squeezed my hand. "I took care of something," she whispered. "Keep every paper I ever signed. Promise me." I promised. I didn't understand why. I was a teenager. I just wanted her to live. 2 years later, Dad remarried. His new wife was fine at first. Polite, distant. But she moved into Mom's house like it had always been hers. I left for college, then grad school. That's where I met my husband. Kind, steady, the kind of man who remembers your coffee order and fixes the leaking sink without being asked. Dad never warmed to him. He's not from here. He doesn't understand our family. He's just after what we have. None of it was true. When money got tight after graduation, my husband and I moved into the 3rd floor of the house. Temporarily. We paid rent. Helped with repairs. I thought it would be fine. And I kept Mom's papers. Every single one. In a fireproof box in my closet. Because she'd asked me to. I thought coming home would be temporary. I didn't know Dad had been planning something. It was a Tuesday morning. I was making coffee. Dad walked into the kitchen and dropped a notebook on the counter. "We need to talk." I looked up. "About what?" "About you two moving out." I blinked. "What?" 30 days, he said. Casual, like he was discussing the weather. "We're selling the house. Retirement condo in Arizona. It's time." My heart dropped. "Dad, we've been paying rent. We can talk about this isn't a negotiation." My husband stepped into the doorway. "Sir, if this is about money, we can—" Dad didn't even look at him. "This is family business. You're not family." The air left the room. I stared at my father. "Mom loved this house. Your mother's gone. The house is in my name. I decide. Can I at least see the paperwork?" He laughed. Actually laughed. "I don't owe you paperwork. I'm your father. 30 days. Then I'm changing the locks." He walked out. My husband stood frozen. I could see it in his eyes. Shame he didn't deserve. Anger he wouldn't let out. I put my hand on his arm. "We're not going anywhere," I said quietly. He looked at me. "What do you mean?" I didn't answer yet. Because I needed to check something first. The next week was a nightmare. I searched for apartments we couldn't afford. Every listing wanted first, last, and deposit. We didn't have it. My husband offered to move to his brother's place. "Just for a while," he said. "Until we figure it out." "No," I told him. "We're not splitting up. Not for this." But I felt it, the weight of losing, of being erased. Then Dad's realtor posted photos online. The listing called it a single-owner estate. My childhood bedroom. Mom's garden. The porch she built. All labeled as his. I sat on the floor of that bedroom surrounded by half-packed boxes and cried. My husband sat beside me. Didn't say anything. Just held my hand. That's when I saw it. The fireproof box. Shoved into the back of my closet under old sweaters. I pulled it out, opened it. Inside were papers I hadn't touched in years. Mom's papers. I spread them across the floor. Birth certificates. Insurance policies. Tax returns. And then a document with a county seal. I started reading, and my hands started shaking. Not from fear. From something else entirely, the deed. Recorded 2 months before Mom died. The house wasn't in Dad's name. It was in a trust. An irrevocable trust. Beneficiary, me. Trustee until my 30th birthday. My Aunt Jen, Mom's sister. She lived in Singapore. We emailed on birthdays. I read it 3 times. Then I called her. It was 4 a.m. her time. She answered anyway. Aunt Jen, did you know about a trust? For the house? Silence. Then, oh my God, he told you? He didn't tell me anything. I found the paperwork. Your mother wanted you protected, she said. Her voice cracked. She knew he'd remarry. She wanted to make sure you always had a home. Does Dad know? Another pause. He should. The attorney sent him a letter right after it was recorded. My stomach dropped. When's my 30th birthday? 6 months from now. I looked at the deed again. The date, the notary seal. The recorded stamp from the county. This wasn't a draft. This wasn't a wish. This was legal, binding, real. Aunt Jen, I said slowly. He's trying to sell it. He listed it online. He can't, she said. He doesn't own it. He never did. I hung up. And I looked at my husband. We're staying. But I had one question left. Dad had been paying property taxes, acting like the owner for 11 years. How much did he really know? I waited one day. Then I told him. I found Dad in the garage. I handed him a copy of the deed. We need to talk about this. He looked at it. His face went red. Where did you get this? Mom's files. It's recorded. Legal. You don't own this house, Dad. He crumpled the paper and threw it on the floor. Your mother didn't know what she was doing at the end. That piece of paper means nothing. It's notarized. Recorded with the county. It means everything. His wife appeared in the doorway. What's going on? She's trying to steal our house, Dad said. I stared at him. It was never yours. We invested in this place, his wife shouted. New roof. New furnace. That's our money. You can't just take it, Dad said. His voice was shaking now. Angry or scared, I couldn't tell. I'll sue you. Caretaker equity. Unjust enrichment. 2 days later, a letter arrived. From his attorney. Cease and desist. Claims of adverse possession. Allegations that I was trespassing in his home. The realtor called me. Pressured me to sign a release so the sale could proceed. There's a backup buyer ready to close in 2 weeks, she said. My husband got a job offer. Out of state, good pay. We could leave. Start over. Part of me wanted to. But I kept thinking about Mom, her hands covered in paint. Her voice in the hospital. I had 6 days before the buyer's inspection. I needed more than a deed. I needed proof that Dad knew all along. I called Aunt Jen again. The attorney who set up the trust, do they still have files? He retired, she said. But his successor took over the practice. I'll reach out. 48 hours later, I got an email. Scanned documents. 3 pages. The first was a letter. From Mom's attorney to my father. Dated 1 week after the trust was recorded. It was polite, professional, and crystal clear. It explained that the house had been transferred into an irrevocable trust. That Dad held no ownership interest. That he could continue living there as a courtesy, and could pay the property taxes if he wished, but the home belonged to the trust. To me, the second page was a signature line. Dad's signature. Acknowledging receipt. The third page was the certified mail receipt. Green card. Signed and dated. 11 years ago. He'd known. Not forgotten. Not confused. He knew the day Mom's attorney mailed it. And he'd lied. To me. To the realtor. Probably to his own wife. He'd gambled that I'd never look. That I'd just leave quietly. I sat at the kitchen table staring at those pages. My husband read over my shoulder. What do we do? He asked. I looked up at him. Now, I said. Now I make one call. Aunt Jen kept digging. She's careful, methodical, a lot like Mom. She found public records. Court filings. Business registrations. Dad's wife had co-owned a cosmetic clinic. It failed. There were liens. Medical equipment debt. Unpaid leases. Then there were the cars. 2 of them leased a timeshare in Sedona. And the Arizona condo contract. Aunt Jen got a copy from a friend in real estate. Down payment required, $180,000. The house appraisal? $890,000. After the mortgage payoff and agent fees, the net would be close to $600,000. Enough to cover the condo, the cars, and maybe dig out of the clinic debt. This wasn't about me. It wasn't about my husband. It was about desperation dressed up as entitlement. Dad had convinced himself the house was his because he needed it to be. And he'd bet that I wouldn't fight back. I felt something strange then. Not rage, not even hurt. Just clarity. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to humiliate him. I wanted my home, my marriage, and the truth. So I opened my laptop. I searched for estate attorneys in the county, and I made one call. The retainer agreement arrived in my inbox 20 minutes later. I signed it without hesitating. The attorney's name was Caroline. She'd taken over her father's practice. She remembered my mother. "Your mom was smart," she said on our first call. "This trust is airtight." "What do I do?" "We file a quiet title action. Establishes you as the rightful beneficiary and clears any cloud on ownership. Then we record a lease pendens, a notice of pending litigation. That freezes the sale. No title company will touch it. How fast can we do this?" "I can file tomorrow. Do it." 24 hours later, it was done. Motion for quiet title. Case opened. List pendens recorded with the county. The realtor got the notice that afternoon. She called Dad, then she called me. "I'm pulling the listing," she said. "I can't sell a property with a list pendens." "I'm sorry." She didn't sound sorry. She sounded relieved. I hung up. Then I texted my father. "Let's sit down. You, me, your lawyer, and mine. Sunday, 2 p.m., at the house." He replied in under a minute. "Fine." I think he believed I was coming to negotiate, to compromise, to let him save face and take some kind of settlement. I wasn't. I was coming to reclaim what my mother had given me, and to make one thing very clear. My husband was family, and this was our home. Sunday came. 2 p.m. The dining room where my father had humiliated my husband became the boardroom. Dad sat on one side, his attorney next to him, his wife beside them. My husband and I sat across, Caroline beside me. The table between us was polished oak. Mom had refinished it herself. I set down 3 folders. Caroline opened hers first. "Let's be clear about what we're here to discuss," she said. Her voice was calm, professional. "Ownership of this property." Dad's attorney nodded. "My client has occupied and maintained this home for over a decade." "Occupied, yes," Caroline said. "Owned, no." She slid the first document across the table. The deed, the trust, recorded 11 years ago. Dad's lawyer read it. His face changed. I wasn't aware of this." "That's the original," Caroline said. "Certified copy from the county." I slid the second folder across. "That's the letter your client received 1 week after the trust was recorded. From my mother's attorney, explaining very clearly that he had no ownership interest." Dad's lawyer opened it. Read the letter. Saw the signature line. His client's signature. "You signed this," he said quietly to my father. Dad said nothing. I opened the third folder myself. "And this," I said, looking straight at my father, "is the email chain between you and the realtor, where you listed a property you knew you didn't own." His wife stood up. "This is insane." "We put money into this house." "Voluntarily," Caroline said. "As occupants, not as owners." Dad's attorney closed the folders. "I need to speak with my client, privately." We stepped into the hallway. 5 minutes passed. When we came back in, Dad's lawyer looked exhausted. "My client will cease all claims to the property, immediately. He'll vacate within 30 days. I looked at my father. He wouldn't look back. "There's one more thing," I said. The room went quiet. "You can stay," I said. "Month to month. Reasonable rent. On one condition." Dad finally looked up. "You apologize to my husband by name. You acknowledge that this is our home. And you treat him with the respect he's always deserved." Silence. Then Dad pushed his chair back. "I don't apologize to outsiders." He stood, walked to the door. His wife followed. He didn't look back. The door closed. Caroline slid one more paper across the table. "In 6 months, when you turn 30, you become the sole legal owner. Until then, as beneficiary, you have full occupancy rights. He has none." I looked at my husband. He was crying. So was I, but we were home. Dad moved out 3 weeks later. He and his wife went to stay with her sister in Flagstaff. It was quiet, civil. He didn't say goodbye. We changed the locks the day he left. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. The sale fell through. Obviously, the buyers moved on. I refinanced the mortgage in my name the week I turned 30. The bank didn't blink. The title was clear. My husband planted tomatoes in Mom's garden. The raised beds she'd built were still solid. We hosted his family for Thanksgiving. His mom cried when she saw the porch. "It's beautiful," she said. "It was my mom's," I told her. "Now it's ours." 4 months after Dad left, his wife filed for separation. Turns out the debt was worse than even Aunt Jen had found. She wanted out. I didn't gloat. I didn't even feel glad. I just felt sad. For all of it. 6 months after that, I got an email. From Dad, no apology. No explanation. Just one line. "Do you have a picture of the garden?" I stared at that email for a long time. Then I went outside. Took a photo of the tomatoes. The flowers. The bench my husband had restored. And I sent it. He wrote back 2 words. "Looks good." That was it. We don't talk. I don't know if we ever will. But I didn't burn the bridge. I just stopped letting him walk over it. Last month, I started a scholarship, small, for first-generation college students in my county. It's named after my mother. There's a plaque by the front door now. Her name, her dates. And one line. She built a home, and she made sure it lasted. I learned something in all of this. Family isn't about blood. It's not about who pays the taxes or whose name was on a deed first. It's about who shows up when the papers are on the table. My husband showed up. My mom showed up even after she was gone. And boundaries aren't cruel. They're structural. They're what keep a house standing. Receipts aren't revenge. They're just truth with a timestamp. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay quiet until you have proof. Then let the proof speak. So here's my question for you. Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and keeping your boundaries? What did you do? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one. And if this reminded you to keep your own receipts, whatever they are, hit that subscribe button. You never know when you'll need them. This story is a fictionalized dramatization and is not legal or financial advice. But the lesson? That's real. Thank you for watching. And remember, you're not just protecting a house. You're protecting a home.